So it's a platform which gets the industry peers to exchange their ideas, how they've adopted technologies, what are the best practices people can adopt from here. And it's the endeavor to collaborate in this process with a lot of customers, right? The local industry business, what has been their challenge, how they have enabled each other. So these ideas get exchanged on the platform. Basically, you could say it's a confluence of thought leadership, the local industry heads and the industry, along with technology, how they're doing it. Pretty good turnout. There's a series of it. I think pharma has been our focus, and it's so nice to have you give the keynote out here. People are viewing it in both the forms, online and the televised version of it. And there's a lot of information exchange that's happening through this platform. So that's the overall background. Really appreciate your time here today. And I think now Network 18 would take your snippet from here and then we'll stitch the whole story.
Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ritu ma'am, for setting the context. Ma'am, so we will be like leaving the screen to you, so you can start with the keynote, ma'am. Just wanted to just do one small tech check before we start, ma'am. Can you see yourself, ma'am? If you can
Yeah,
confirm. Oh,
yeah.
okay, ma'am. Can you just help me? Are you using a laptop? I think you are
Yeah.
using.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. I'm using a proper computer.
Okay, okay, ma'am. So can you go to your right a bit? There is yeah, along with the chair, ma'am. Ma'am, also, can you shift your camera to your right a
I
little
can't
bit?
do anything with the camera.
Okay, okay, it's static, I guess. It's
Yeah,
somewhere. Okay,
yeah,
okay. Then, ma'am, then I would request you to come to your the exact place where you are. Yeah,
yeah. That's why I said this is better.
yeah, yeah. This is better, ma'am. Ma'am, there is an option called cam slash mic. If you can, you can see on your screen.
Cams/mic. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could select that and select the camera option and show advanced option, it will redirect you to the full high definition 1080p. You need to select that. That will help us give the best feed of yours through
Full
the.
high definition.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Perfect, ma'am. Perfect. Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, we will start the. We'll give the screen to you, ma'am.
So
I'll
should I
just give
now?
you
I'll cancel this, right?
which one, ma'am.
No, I'm like a picture within a picture. Is this okay, or should I?
No, no, yeah, just cancel this. It's already selected to high definition now.
Yeah, that's what I
And
mean.
yeah, ma'am, yeah. Ma'am, so I would request you when you speak, so because as it's going to be on the TV and the web also, so the eye level we have to just look towards the webcam and just read out what you want to say, ma'am. And I will just give you a small introduction as it is going to be separately edited later. So we are just I'm just going to give you a small introduction of yours, and then you can start, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, yeah. We'll start, ma'am. Ritu, ma'am, we are starting then.
Absolutely. All good to go.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Starting the summit with our keynote speaker, Ms. Kiran Majumdar Shaw. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us, who is the executive chairperson, Biocon Limited and Biocon Biologist Limited. Over to you, ma'am, if you could give the context of the show and start the show with your keynote.
Thank you for inviting me to give this keynote at a very, very topical summit, which is really talking about trends and predictions in the pharma industry in terms of accelerating, uh, digital technologies and the. Can I start again?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like
Sure,
to
sure.
start again. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank both SAP and CNBC for inviting me to deliver this keynote at this very, very topical discussion that we are having on the accelerated digital evolution that is taking place within every industry, including the pharma industry, and helping us to adjust to the new reality. So I must congratulate CNBC and SAP for putting this together. And the way I look at it from the pharma industry is that the pandemic has disrupted critical structures within every industry, including the pharma industry. And this has actually accelerated or catalyzed an acceleration of digital transformation, which has, of course, dramatically changed um, the conventional pre COVID paradigm. I would say that the greatest impact of this digital disruption or digital acceleration has been in the area of regulatory processes. You can see that this actually has seen the delivery of a vaccine from lab to market within less than a year, which was unheard of, unprecedented. And we have also started adopting very, very new regulatory processes, like, for instance, emergency use authorizations, real-time rolling reviews, parallel phase one, phase two, phase three clinical trials, etc., etc. And I think this has also, necessitated a number of online processes, such as basically online submissions of documentation for reviews, etc., which has enabled all of these accelerated processes. And what is even more is that many of these review processes have even been allowed from the comfort of the homes of the reviewers. So I think that this is something that which we must not lose sight of, and we must not basically lose the advantage of. And following close on the heels of these regulatory processes, I also want to say that there have been a number of other digital disruptions that have taken place in both the pharma and healthcare sectors, such as patient centric access through maybe teleconsults, through apps, through various kind of online methodologies, which allows you to basically access patients, track patients, and basically monitor compliance, etc., etc. I think one of the biggest, examples of how we have used technologies very effectively is, of course, in the process of vaccination, and in the process of RT-PCR testing, where you know that the CoWIN app is actually a phenomenal application and is a great example of how digital technologies can actually allow at scale data capture of a country as large as ours. We have very effectively brought about an RT-PCR testing platform, as well as a vaccination certification platform, and integrated the two. Of course, we need to do a better job of that, but integrating the two is going to give us tremendous power in terms of data analytics, in terms of analyzing in various kind of ways, age wise, gender wise, vaccine wise, data on the effectiveness of data of vaccines, the breakthrough infections that we are seeing in vaccinations based on age, disease burden, location, what have you. So I think this is a very rich database that we have, and we can actually leverage that database very effectively in ways that many parts of the world or most of the world will not be able to do. So I think this is where I think I'm very excited to see digital disruption. Now, as you know, we are all now also veering towards a universal healthcare system for the country, and that also is going to require a huge digital backbone and a digital database if we are to really, do justice to universal healthcare. Again, I think the power of technology can allow us to scale up and address a number of unmet needs, or a number of deficits in terms of the doctor population ratio, or the hospital bed uh, population ratio, or the nurses to population ratio, etc., etc., where we know that we are short of 1 million doctors, 2 million nurses, and at least 10 million hospital beds in the country, to put it very, very in a very conservative way. So I think this is a huge opportunity to use technology to bridge these various gaps. Now, coming to our own industry of pharmaceuticals, I think, we all chant the mantra of digital transformation, and everyone is investing heavily in digital systems, ERP. Of course, all of us use SAP in our system. But I always say the SAP ERP system is as good as the user or the way we actually, deliver data to the SAP system. So I think this is very, very important. I think what we need to make sure is that we actually uh, use these systems in a way that delivers predictability and reliability. Of course, apart from that, I think getting alerts, tracking, monitoring, and getting constant feedback real time is extremely important. Technology must render various things in a very agnostic way. For instance, technology must render diagnosis, treatment, and patient follow up agnostic to the radiologist, the technician, or the doctor. Likewise, in industry, whether it is drug discovery and development or manufacturing or laboratory testing, it should be agnostic to the scientist, the engineer, or to the operator or the clinician. Why do I say this? Because we always talk about the human factor and the human error factor. And I think we must use technology to address many of these. We always talk about institutionalizing knowledge, institutionalizing databases, institutionalizing technology usage. And that's the only way you can do it. If you have a very effective system that actually allows you to capture data in a way that delivers predictability and reliability, I think we would be very, very effective in the way we go about digital disruption. For instance, we all talk about electronic lab notebooks, electronic batch records, electronic various documentation systems. But my biggest worry is that we have a tendency to consider electronic documentation as merely transferring data from the physical world to the electronic medium. And I think that is a fatal mistake we are making. I think when we look at digital transformation, we have to look at the physical data, and we then have to see what is it that we can do in the electronic medium that we could not do in the physical system. For instance, let's just take electronic batch records. I think we must understand that we have these huge batch records which are printed and given to operators. Do you think operators ever read those, batch records? It's humanly impossible. But when you actually translate it into the electronic medium, there are various ways of prompting the operator to do the right thing. Whether it is voice modulated or whether it is just through the process itself, by making sure that every time you want the operator to do a certain process, that until they do that process, they can't move to the next step. These are the kind of things that will allow you to be much more effective. You will have the ability to be more predictive and more reliable in terms of preventing human errors. So I personally believe that when we talk about digital disruption, we must be very, very careful of what we are doing and what we are saying. So I would basically say that what we really need to look at is simplifying our systems so that the electronic medium can really deliver very effective solutions. I think in the physical world, we tend to, make our documentation very complex and very, convoluted in terms of its text content. It's very text heavy. I think in the electronic medium, we need to simplify and we need to really get the essence of what we're trying to do. And I'm sure that working with regulators, this is something that we can aspire for in a very effective way. So I do believe that we must use digital disruption. We must use the SAP-like ERP systems to integrate all the kind of documentation that we have on an electronic platform that can actually help us to be very effective, very predictable, and have very reliable processes right from research to all the way to supply chains. So I think that's the way I look at digital disruption. I'm sure that many will, others will have many, much more to say than I have. But I think that this is a great platform to have a great discussion on. And I wish this, discussion and summit all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Ritu, ma'am, I'm just adding you in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. It is fine.
It was brilliant. I think we got all the essential elements stitched very well from your perspective. Thank you so much for making it so relevant to what's happening, and I'm sure everybody in the pharma industry is looking to listening from you. So this would be definitely a brilliant keynote. Really appreciate your time today, ma'am. I'm excited to see you here, and I'm sure once we stitch it all together, the larger audience would be excited enough to see your keynote. I think, Swamijit, we are going to go edit all of this by
Yes,
which date?
yes. This will go on the edit, and we'll share the first cut with like your team by, I think, maybe Saturday. Maybe
Okay,
we'll add
brilliant.
this part because the other two panels are already recorded. We just need to add
Yeah.
this thing. Yeah,
Just
Okay.
tell me, actually, I made a few mistakes. It's not a summit, right? What is it? It's a panel discussion.
ma'am, it's a huge SAP summit, and there are a lot of panels
Oh, it
being
is a
done. So
summit. Okay, fine.
yeah,
So
so
I
if you
used the
add
right
also,
word.
it's fine. It
Because I
is
was
one
saying
on one.
summit and I said, oh, is it a summit? Is it not? And I was getting a
No,
bit
ma'am.
confused.
It's perfect because it's a very huge summit. We have done a lot of panel discussion. Even Ritu ma'am was also a part of it. So this also was done, and the keynote is the main thing which we start the show with. So that
Yeah.
is you are a part of. So you are not going to be interacting with any the anchor and all. So that's the reason we recorded separately so that we start with you the show and then the anchor introduces the other guests.
Yeah, just to add to it, I think the way we're running it, and we've got some really good feedback. Just to land it with you, I'm sure the confluence basically is a summit, as you rightly said, and you pointed it out, but for different industries, right? So we went to the CPG industry, we are addressing the pharma, and the problem statements of the way people are looking at it is very specific now. And SAP has been around for doing this specific solution build with industry experts like yours. So we've got a good review, and CNBC has been doing a brilliant job around getting everything together. And the idea is we reach out in the transformation and disruption age as constructive as possible to help organization rally into the India growth that we're looking at. So that's what's happening as of now.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much for your time today. Thank you.
Not at all. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ritu ma'am.
Thank you.